just when you think you have all of the rides, hotels and restaurants figured out. There are so many Disneyland Paris scenarios that are going to surprise you and make you think, I was not expecting that. Now, if you like surprises or not, or maybe just don't want to know all of the spoilers before you arrive at Disneyland Paris, you are definitely going to want to know about all of these ones that could potentially make or break your trip. There are so many surprises that shock first-time guests to the park, but also things that still shock regular guests to Disneyland Paris. For some guests, a huge part of their trip to Disney parks is meeting the characters. And while it's completely free to do and a whole lot of fun, the queues can get pretty lengthy. And I'm talking hours long lengthy. Over in the Avengers campus, however, the only way to meet an Avenger in the Superhero Training Centre is to use a virtual queue. Now, Disneyland Paris uses these virtual queues for these meet and greets only, unlike other Disney parks around the world that use them to ride their rides and newer attractions. So, if meeting an Avenger is at the top of your to-do list, then I suggest you do your research on the virtual queues and how they work at Disneyland Paris so that you don't miss out on these meet and greets. These virtual queues to meet one of the Avengers, in my opinion, are a great idea. As when we did it on our most recent trip, we wanted to meet Spider-Man, and then the following day to meet one of the random Avengers, also in the Superhero Training Centre, who turned out to be Black Panther. Whilst using the virtual queue, we were able to hop on a couple of other rides whilst we were waiting for our time to be called. In order to make one of the virtual queue reservations, you must have pre-downloaded the official Disneyland Paris app and have a booking or part ticket linked to the app. And then you can make your reservations for the Superhero Training Centre once you have entered the Disney parks. A top tip here is to make sure that you link your ticket or hotel booking to the app before you arrive, to be ready to join the virtual queue on the day. In the Hero Training Centre, you are always able to meet Spider-Man, so don't forget to practice those poses. The second Avenger you can make a virtual queue reservation for will always be random. As I said, we got to meet Black Panther on our most recent trip, which was totally epic, and we also had the 180-degree multi-frame photo, which makes for a fantastic souvenir to look back on. So don't forget about those virtual queues. Disneyland Paris only has 2, so can easily be overlooked. Whilst Disneyland Paris won't charge you a cancellation fee for not cancelling your restaurant reservations on time or at all, Disneyland Paris are strict on time. On the Disneyland Paris website, it clearly states that you have up to a 15-minute window in which they will hold your reservation for you if you are running a little late. Now, they totally understand that it does require quite a bit of time to make it across the parks to be able to make your reservation, but at the same time, they typically won't wait over this time frame. If you have made those advanced restaurant reservations, then you really do have to plan your day well and make sure to be in the vicinity of that particular restaurant to save you trekking from one side of the park to the other, or from one park to the other. To give you a rough idea on size, the main park in Disneyland Paris is actually bigger than Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World, so that's a fair distance to walk. Also, don't hop in line for a ride that is showing an hour wait when your reservation is in 30 minutes, because you will wait in line for an hour plus the time it takes to ride the ride, and some last longer than others. Then the walk to the restaurant in total, that adds up to well over an hour, and will result in you being way too late for your dining reservation and having to miss out on your meal. My tip is to plan carefully. Something that does come as a shock to guests at Disneyland Paris is to not arrive at showtime for shows, parades and the fireworks. If you go onto the Disneyland Paris app, it will show you all of the start times of everything that is available to you on the day of your visit. Or if you're doing your research and putting an itinerary together, again, the app will show you the current start times. Then you can get a rough idea for your itinerary. Now, this is what trips people up. When Disney posts a start time, this is the time that that particular event actually starts, not the time that you should arrive for it. For example, if you want to watch the Disneyland Paris nighttime show Disney Dreams, on the app, depending on what time of year you go, the show might start at a listed time of 10 p.m. However, if you show up in front of Sleeping Beauty's castle for 10 p.m, you are more than likely not going to be able to secure a good view of the castle. Lots of people who want to watch the fireworks start staking out their spots in the central hub in front of the castle up to an hour or more before the show starts. Meaning the people who leave it closer to the start time end up being stuck behind a tree or the mass crowd's already there. However, it's not all bad, because those people who are closer to the front will get caught up in the mass exodus as everyone turns to leave. While I don't recommend staking out your spot over an hour before the show begins to get a closer spot at the front, meaning you will be missing out on actual fun time in the parks, I would recommend about 30 minutes to get a decent enough spot, and also not to get caught up in those mass crowds. Now, arriving early isn't just for shows and shows only. If you want to rope drop and get into the parks as soon as the gates open, the same thing applies here. You are going to want to arrive at the gates around 30 to 40 minutes before the parks open. And also, don't forget to apply this rule to meet and greets. Arrive before the listed start time means you won't be queuing for hours to meet your favourite characters. This next one is something that I am asked quite a lot, and that is, does Disneyland Paris have the refillable resort mugs like the American parks? And the answer is unfortunately not. But you aren't entirely going to miss out. If you're staying in one of the on-site Disneyland Paris hotels, you will still be able to get your coffee, tea or hot chocolate fix for free. You are able to get 4 hot drinks per person per day from one of the machines that are dotted around your hotel. If, however, you are staying in the Art of Marvel Hotel or the Disneyland Paris Hotel, you will have hot drink making facilities in your room. So if you want to drink coffee, tea or hot chocolate, they've got you covered. Disneyland Paris does not offer refillable sugary drinks due to them following French law, meaning it's illegal to sell unlimited soft drinks at a fixed price or offer them as unlimited for free. However, you can always take your own water bottles and refill them with water from one of the water fountains that are dotted around the parks. In so many of my videos, I tell you to plan for the weather when packing for your trip to Disneyland Paris, and to also download an hour-by-hour weather app. And whilst Parisian weather in spring and summer can be really warm, you don't want to get caught out in a rainstorm. You can still have a really fun and fulfilling day in the parks, rain or shine. However, I know that walking around damp isn't exactly ideal, and this is where ponchos come in super handy. I always have them with us as they roll up really small and can be popped into your park bags. You can find some really cheap ponchos online before you go, but Disney do sell their own. They are slightly more expensive at €10 each, but if for whatever reason you manage to tear your poncho or one of the little fastener buttons falls off, take it to one of the Disney shops that sells ponchos. If you can't see them in the shop, ask a cast member, as sometimes they keep them behind the till. Show them the receipt as proof of purchase and they will exchange it for a new one completely free. But if you can kit out your entire group for £15 before you go, instead of the €10 each, then there's one shock you can skip. Now this comes as quite a shock to some guests, and that is, no ride or attraction is 100% guaranteed to be open or running during your trip to Disneyland Paris. On both the Disneyland Paris website and the official Disneyland Paris app, you can search for particular shows and rides to check that they will be open during your visit, or if they're scheduled for any pre-planned maintenance or seasonal break. But if an attraction doesn't have any pre-planned maintenance, that still doesn't guarantee the experience will be open. Remember, rain can play a big part in whether an outdoor attraction will be running or not during your visit. Technical issues pop up for rides all of the time, which might mean that a ride goes down for 5 or 10 minutes or even an entire day. Now, while this is a huge downer, keep an eye on the app to see when the ride comes back online, and if you happen to just be around that ride when it does, you could be in for a very low wait time, which is always a bonus. If it doesn't, Don't let it ruin your day. Just make a plan B and go with that instead. And don't put your whole day on pause just because one ride isn't cooperating with your itinerary. Just make sure you have enough going on in your day so that one ride going down won't affect you. Just keep swimming and carry on with your day. Also, just prepare any children in your group that technical issues do happen and that you are going to loop back later on in the day if the ride reopens. Doing this before you go will help avoid any disappointment. Okay, so now that you have the shocking things out of the way, means that you are already 10 steps ahead and start planning your Disneyland Paris trip how you want it to go. If you did find this video useful, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and please consider subscribing, and I'll see you again soon.